Okay, today is chapter 7 of Inquiry and Innovation in the Classroom. And that chapter was 20% time for teachers. And um, going into this one, I did not expect this chapter, to be honest with you, because I was more expecting, like, all right, so the 20% time, like, how am I going to implement that in my classroom? But they brought up an incredible point at the very beginning. Teachers matter. Research shows that teachers are the single most powerful driver of student performance, to which I put next to was no pressure. Um, this research is important for two reasons. First, it puts an enormous amount of responsibility and pressure on teachers to drive student success. And second, it should be our guiding priority when we think about how to improve our schools: better teachers, better students. And I wrote in the margins, I think I've seen a chart that shows how that kind of compounds. Like if a student has all great teachers through elementary school, they end up like at a certain level. Or if they have, I'll use my husband Ben's favorite word. Ever since we saw that documentary Waiting for Superman, his favorite word to describe an ineffective teacher is a lemon. So if a student has a bunch of teachers who are great versus students who have like a bunch of lemons versus students who, depending on the year, sometimes they have a great teacher, sometimes they don't have a great teacher, and the students who have great teachers inevitably end up doing better for whatever the study defines, or whatever that chart defined better as. But anyways, Giuliani says that a big problem in schools right now is having meaningful professional development, to which I immediately just started to groan, because I'm like, oh man, like, just because every teacher groans when they hear professional development. Although I will say that the professional development that we have had at Midlake so far has been really good for the most part and really, really helpful. Like, I talked to my mom, who's also a teacher, about our professional development days, and she's like, I wish we would do that. Ours are terrible. But we had the Out Alliance a couple years ago, then we had the poverty simulation a couple years ago, and like when we had the collaborative superintendent day at Marcus Whitman 2 years ago, and then at Canandaigua this past March, those were great. I loved those, especially the one last time, because they had music specific sessions during the entire day. So that was great. But Giuliani says, we are trying to improve teachers' performance through measures that were used 35 years ago. And maybe that's what my mom's school looks like. So yeah. Yeah, I got stuck. I'm going to keep going. The next session is, okay, what makes a great teacher? And what makes a great teacher? Is it solely based on how his or her students perform on standardized assessments, or does it correlate to how successful students are in the next grade level? Further, are we expecting teachers themselves to continue growing and become better educators through the years? And I appreciated this because what makes a great teacher great is really subjective. You need to define that. Like, is it like they said, does great mean their students do well on tests? Does great mean are students ready for third grade after they're done with second grade? Does great mean they are super organized? Does great mean that they have a certain kind of lesson plan? I wrote down on the side, also well-liked and great aren't synonymous. You can be a very well-liked teacher without necessarily being a great teacher. Or you can be a great teacher without necessarily being a super well-liked teacher. I think that those two aren't, they're not mutually exclusive, but like they well liked and great do not have to exist in the same teacher. I think, but I've had all sorts of teachers, as has everybody else. And Giuliani puts forth 2 models to help evaluate teachers. There were 2 frameworks, and the similarities between them is that each one only has one domain on classroom instruction. So each of these frameworks only believes that what makes a great teacher is only 25% of 25% classroom instruction. But what's interesting is one of the frameworks, the Marzano framework, domain number 4 is collegiality and professionalism. Oh, look, 25% is dependent on professional development. And the Danielson framework, domain 4, professional responsibilities. Oh, look, like he believes that professional development is also what is 25% of what makes a teacher great. So it says in another paragraph that professional development is the next step after evaluating a teacher, but often we fail to make any real effort at improving our current teachers and moving them along the continuum. And so my comment was, this is hard because it's hard to make everything relevant to everyone. So I think that teachers kind of have to pursue their own professional development as well. Like the 3 superintendent conference days we get per year are great. And I mean, it's great to have that time, but it's like, since I'm so specific, like I have to pursue my own professional development outside of the classroom or outside of the school, which I wrote in the sidebar. That's why I go to the NYSSMA conference, the New York State Music Educator Association's conference, first weekend of December every year. I usually go on Saturdays. I don't take the time off Friday. Too few subs. So he, a sentence later, many teachers are faced with new emerging technologies and a different generation of learners, yet they don't have the resources at their disposal to continue to grow professionally, or do they? And I wrote next to it, I feel here's what you can do on your own coming on, which is kind of what happens. And from this point on, I got really jazzed reading this book, and it made me really excited about professional development. So Giuliani writes, in a world where everyone is looking for a quick fix, it's essential to change our focus to growing better each day and each year rather than proving how good of a teacher we already are. And that's on page 78. And next to that, I wrote growth mindset, exclamation point, not yet knowing that this next sentence, Principal George Couros, who we've had as a speaker, great job, Midlakes, said the real game changer in education isn't something external, it's internal. It's the way we think and grow. It is moving from that fixed mindset about teaching and learning and moving to the growth mindset. And in the sidebar, I just wrote, ha, because I'm proud of myself for knowing what was coming. So this is the point where Giuliani starts to emphasize that you need to spend your professional development time doing things that are meaningful to you, and that parallels your students' experience of giving them time in the classroom, of pursuing what they want. So I've done a couple of very meaningful professional developments so far outside of school, and some of them I've been doing for ages, and some are, I've been doing them for a while. So the first is the NYSSMA conference, but that's a once a year thing. And teachers from all across New York State, and even it's a New York State teacher conference, but teachers from out of state will come to present at this conference. So I collect names, I collect packets, I collect ideas, and sometimes I get to use them in the classroom like the next day or the next week, and it's great. And it's like if you've ever been in a room with like-minded people, it's like, oh my, I'm like, these are my people. Like, these people are singing to themselves as they're going down the hallway, or they're trying to remember a song, or they're talking about like different repertoire. It's great. And the second thing that I do is I go to ORF workshops, and I have my ORF Level 1 certification. Basically, ORF Schulwerk is a way of teaching music to kids, and it's done through a way that I find very intuitive. So the main focus is to get kids singing, moving and dancing, playing instruments, sing, say, dance, play. Speaking chants or traditional nursery rhymes or traditional rhymes, period, improvising and creating. And a lot of times the process will be like speech to body percussion to instruments, and that's the way you build a lot of ensembles. And there's so much creativity within each of those. And every time I go to the ORF workshop, it's like I can't stop smiling. I smile like an idiot the entire time because I just have so much fun. And those workshops, they're held 3 times a year. The first one this year is going to be September 14th. I'm renewing my membership today, sending that out in the mail. Those memberships, those conferences, always, like, I always emerge from them, like, excited to try things, which it's incredible. And when I just graduated from college, so there's trainings that you can do at the Eastman School of Music, and it's a 2-week training. It's 65 hours of professional development, and it's a 2-week intensive course on how to use ORF in your classroom. That was just one of the best experiences that I've had. Something that I have access to but haven't done. So I'm a member of NYSSMA, the New York State School Music Teachers Association. So I get their journals every quarter, and I've been a member of NYSSMA for 10 years, like since I have had a student membership, and the only articles I've ever read were for my thesis, and those were from 1914 to 1918. So I think it could be worth my time to take, like, I don't know, an hour every 3 months to read some of these articles? Probably. So, so. And the other thing that I could do is if I join GRAOSA, Greater Rochester American ORF Schulwerk Association, if I join that at the national level, I will also get issues of a magazine called the ORF Express. I'll have to think about that. It's like twice as expensive. I'll have to think about it. Also on page 78, this is what got me incredibly excited. Learn what you want to, the story of EduCamp. And what if I told you that the 20% time is not just for students? We can have the same benefits for teachers through unconferences like EdCamp. And I was reading about it, and close to 500 EdCamps have been already been held around the world. EdCamp strives to bring teachers together to talk about the things that matter most to them. If you don't like something, you can move to another session. So I looked it up. There's one in Waterloo on August 27th, and I'm going. I signed up for it. So I'm super excited to try it out and see what it's all about. Like, maybe there will be music teachers, maybe there won't be, but like, I want to learn from other teachers who want to learn, and no teacher is going to take a day out of their summer vacation to do this unless they really want to do this. So I'm excited to be around like-minded people as well. So I'm so incredibly excited to check it out and see what it's all about. So I think it'll just be so much fun. So like that got me so excited. Oh, and I also signed up to go see Gary Brooks and Spencer Poore on August 31st. I'm so excited. I saw him last year at Waterloo. He was great. So I'm getting super jazzed about teaching again. So he's got Jay Giuliani. The next and last two sections are the new professional development and classroom applications, and he's got he's got so many good ideas. Like, it's online. I do most of my professional development online. To the side I wrote, find music educator blogs because they exist. I don't think that I keep up with them all the time. I do know that sometimes I'll go hunting them for ideas, but so that's after I get done with this video, I'm going to hunt down some music educator blogs. And it's anytime, it's with whoever you want. This is a big reason I like the new professional development movement with EdCamp and EduCon. EduCon is in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It's not that far. It's the second weekend in January. Who knew? They don't have anything about 2020 yet, but they have their 2019 information on there. That's so cool. And I love it. The law of 2 feet is based on a simple premise. If at any time during our time together you find yourself in a situation where you are neither learning nor contributing, use your 2 feet. Go someplace else. That is the law to apply everywhere in your learning. And don't stay in situations where you are not adding to the conversation or learning from the conversation. It's not rude, it's smart. I think that's a good life skill too, to be perfectly honest with you. Developing your professional learning network is about learning from people who interest and inspire you. Gary Brooks, Spencer Poore, August 31st, 1 p.m. Be there or be square. And it's based on your choice. So you can, I like it. Just learn what you want to. And later in the chapter, tell your students about what you're learning, because then you're setting that model for them. And I do have a board outside of my room that always tells the kids what I'm reading at that particular moment. So I'm doing it a little already, but I might do a little bit more, especially with the older kids. Maybe they'll be interested. I don't know. So the classroom applications get started now, get connected online. I like that because there's such a low bar for entry for most people most of these days. You can't say to a teacher, or a teacher can't say oh, I'm not on Facebook, or oh, I'm not on Twitter, or oh, this, or oh, that. Go take 5 minutes to look something up. There's no excuse. So after this, I'm going to hopefully find a couple music teacher groups on Facebook as well. Although it says, are you a Google Plus user? And I mean, okay, I guess this book is from 2014, so maybe Google Plus was bigger then, but I know nobody who uses Google Plus, to be honest with you, but whatever. That's a tangent. And then he talks about building your professional learning network. Here's where you start reading blogs and other publications tailored to your interest, and communicating with teachers who have similar interests. And I have in the sidebar, teachers learn from each other. Happy face. This is why I love WORF workshops. I just absolutely love that. Take it to your school. That is not a step that I want to take right now. I don't want to be the leader right now. I want to try it for myself and see how it goes first. And then eventually, I think I don't know, I mean, I'm 29. This is only going to be my 3rd year teaching at Mid Lakes. I feel like other people have more experience. I don't know. I mean, although maybe I have ideas that other people don't have, so I don't know. Maybe I could totally do a roundtable discussion or something at a future conference date. So the big impact on your students, teachers matter. The first place we must start in professional development is with ourselves. What are we passionate about? What interests us? What motivates us to keep teaching and growing? And if we continue to teach the same way every year, not only does our students a disservice, but it also hurts our profession. Ding, 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 ding. Um, yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that. Like and don't you get bored if you teach the same way every year? Like that's what I want to know. I think I would get so burned out if I did the same thing for 15 years. Like that does not sound fun to me. I urge you to you to model inquiry-based learning for your students. Show them what you are learning and how you are learning. You'll get the benefit of improving, and your students will be impacted in how it translates to the classroom experience. And I do have on the sidebar. I do that a bit with. So I do that with my whiteboard and my literate and my book, pushing the books always. And I do that with the chorus that I sing in. So I tell the kids like, okay, so when I'm with my chorus, it's GVOC, the Genesee Valley Orchestra and Chorus. When I am with my chorus and I'm talking about school, I refer to it as the Munchkin Chorus. When I am at school and talking about the chorus I sing in, I call it the Geriatric Chorus because there's so many old people. But our conductor, Chris, is the music director. He's incredible. Like he chooses great music. Like he does great warm-ups with us. He explains what we're doing and why we're doing it. And I take that right back to my kids and I'll be like, you know what my director, Dr. Chris said? And they'll roll their eyes and they'll be like, was this the geriatric course? I'm like, yes, it was. So I love doing that. And that would be so cool if I could do that even more and make those connections with students. I think the only caveat with this chapter is I wrote down, I think I need a mindset shift to accommodate all these ideas because I love all the ideas and I certainly want it to realistically fit into what I do now. And I think I do kind of a lot now, even as a part-time teacher. So maybe it'll be just like carving out a spot that is just dedicated to like professional development. And the other thing is I still have my initial cert. I'll be able to apply for my professional cert. I was just on the TRS website, and it does not say how many months of credit I have yet from this year, which is silly, but I think I'm going to be able to apply for my professional cert next summer. And at that point, you need 100 hours of professional development. So I need to talk to maybe Tracy about what counts as professional development and how I submit it and how that all works, because it is just a big tangled web. Because let me tell you, if I spend an hour reading and reflecting from the Music Educators Journal, and that counted toward professional development, I would be all over that. But as it is, I signed up to see Gary Brooks. I signed up to go to the EduCamp in Waterloo. I am renewing my ORF membership, and life is good. So that chapter was just, it got me really excited about teaching, got me really excited for back to school. Although we still have 3 weeks of summer left, and let's not rush those either. So probably later today, you'll see me with Chapter 8, Preparing Your Institution, School, and Class. And until then, I'm off to find some music educator blogs.